Welcome to episode 2 of the Firewood series. Today we are talking splitting wood, specifically red oak. Now, this may surprise you, but it takes many years to get good at splitting wood by hand. So I'm going to give you a few tips and pointers to accelerate that process for you. Okay, tip number 1 there. We're going to fell our tree, and you want to handle your wood the least amount of times possible. So what I like to do, you can do whatever you want. What I like to do is buck it up right in place, go along, tip it right up where it sits, split it right here. Now you may say, well, I like to put it up here, and then so my maul doesn't hit the ground and it's up a little higher. Think about how many times you have to pick up this piece of wood and put it on top of another one. You're handling it multiple times, lifting a heavy object from very low in the ground. And if that takes a half hour extra, 45 minutes extra, it takes 5 minutes to sharpen your maul. You're just, please, that's a waste of time. Just leave the thing on the ground. All right, now we're going to talk about tools. Now, I see a lot of casual wood splitters using a wedge. You know, you put the wedge in there and then you got your sledgehammer pounded in. And to be honest, that makes me cringe every time and how long that takes. What you want to do is get yourself a good quality splitting maul. I like to get one that's as heavy as I can possibly find and use the weight of the head to its advantage. There's some light ones out there. The shape matters a little bit, but really what I'm most concerned with is the weight of the head. This one is made by Steel. I've had it for a few years. It was a Christmas present, and I'm loving it. Normally, but any Fiskars brand, some of that stuff at big box stores is fine. Just look for a heavy head. Now we need to talk about how we attack our piece of wood with our maul. We don't just swing wildly at it anywhere, just smash at it. Uh, there's some technique involved, which might surprise some people. Um, so this goes back to episode 1, and when we talked about drying our wood. Our log here, our 16-inch log or whatever length you like to cut at, the standard piece of firewood is 16 inches long. That piece of wood is made up of little wood fibers. So in a hardwood, these toothpicks do an exceptional job at representing what the fibers in, say, a red oak, what we split here today, is like. They are short, relatively short, very stiff wood fibers. So they make a relatively brittle wood. Um, the reason why it's so popular for burning is because those short, dense, hard, stiff wood fibers make a dense overall log, and therefore it has a high heating value. So the density, it weighs more than other. There's more material there, more energy in that log to burn and heat your home. The other thing it does is it makes it conducive to splitting. So these short, stiff wood fibers do not conform to the head of your splitting maul. So you can attack this thing right at the center of the log. On our softer woods, their wood fibers are more like spaghetti. They're long, uh, more flexible wood fibers. If we sink our splitting maul in the middle of that log, those fibers are just going to conform around that head. And softwoods, what you want to do is attack from the outer edges. So you want to peel away um, your splits from the working around the outer edge. On oak here, as we're going to see in the demonstration, we can attack it right in the middle. These stiff wood fibers will just give way and fracture brittly. All right, so that's a lot of wood fiber talk. Recap: hardwoods, attack them at the center. Softwoods, work around the edges. Around. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, understand that we can attack right in the middle of our log here. Um, but before we do that, we want to take a quick second, a couple seconds, and just read our wood. So we take a look at the grain structure here, and we can see a little defect right in there, just running along there. So what I would do is position myself to land my maul right in that defect and see if I could split this thing apart on one go. Of course, there's some rod on the side of this, and that will also play into that. There's no strength here. So basically, I'm just separating the log right here. Just like that. All right, the next thing we need to look at is our swing of our maul. Like I say, we want the heaviest maul, and our swing, it's much like a golf swing, baseball swing. We want to use this lever to our advantage and the weight of the head. So really, we're not swinging this thing around. You're going to throw your back out and die. Um, what you want to do is more of a throw the head up and let the weight of that come down. And then when it's coming down, we try to rotate on our pivot point here at the end. That's why these handles have a knob at the end to put this hand right here. And you kind of rotate, you can give it a push with this hand, but we're not throwing our back into it. Um, you won't last long wood splitting like that. So we want to throw it up in the air, give it a push with this hand, get that rotation around this pivot point going, and we can actually accelerate it even more by pulling this in towards us and changing the radius of that swing, and it will cause that head to accelerate. So let me read my piece of wood here. I think I'm going to go at it the same way I did that other one right here, and just throw the head up and sink it in. Now this one didn't pop on the first go, no problem. Just grab the handle here, give it a quick jerk up, wiggle it a few times, and you're out. Then just go at it again. Piece of cake. All right, the next thing we need to talk about is when should I be doing this? So that's a tough question to ask. The easy answer is don't do it during summer. This is not a summer activity. Um, the old saying goes, work with nature, not against it. Do this when it's cold. This particular technique with keeping it on the ground works best when the ground is frozen. Also, you're not going to work up a sweat and want to tip over when doing this. It's a huge amount of physical exertion. Do not do this in summer. The other thing is, if you're doing it in summer thinking you're going to burn it that winter, as we talked about in episode 1, your wood will not be dry by then. So that's a bad idea. What I like to do, um, there's in this area in the upper Midwest, there's a time of year, mid fall to early winter, where it's cold. We start getting some frost, the ground starts firming up, but we don't have a large amount of snow that makes it difficult to get around in the woods. That is the time, in my opinion, you should be cutting your wood. Or late winter, if we get a thaw and the snowpack reduces, or all through winter if you can get around. Um, Summer is not a good time. So then you do have a chance at the wood being ready to burn the next winter, but ideally you're doing it 2 years ahead of time. Now you might be saying, lawn engineer, why don't you just get a wood splitter? And I've used wood splitters, and if you've got physical limitations, wood splitters are great. There's a few reasons I don't like to use them. One, I think I'm faster splitting manually than using a conventional hydraulic log splitter because of the cycle time and the fact that I have to bend over, pick up my 16-inch rounds, get them up on there, manipulate them, hit the cycle. Um, I can split faster, even with some brakes to recover. The other reason is I've got some difficult terrain where I cut wood. It's fairly steep. I like to be able to buck my tree up right on the hillside into my 16-inch lengths, tip it on its side as I showed, and split it right there, then haul it away. So I'm handling that wood as few times as possible. So I can go right from that, haul it right into where I'm stacking it. Um, the other piece is it's kind of loud, annoying, running away there constant. It's not a very enjoyable experience. You don't get to hear nature. You don't get to, you just listen to that all the time. Uh, yeah, that's why. So I hope you learned something here. Advance your ability on splitting wood. Hopefully, cut out a few years of the learning curves that I went through. Most everyone has to go through before the YouTubes. Um, and maybe you've got something to teach me. Put it in the comments down below. I can learn something from you. Thanks for watching. Adios.